following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
CBS presents this program in color.
This is an ABC color presentation.
Hi everybody, TJ Mack of Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here. One of the things I love most about collecting vintage cards, whether it's baseball, football, or hockey, is the variety of designs and the unexpected connections between them. It's like flipping through little pieces of sports history wrapped in mid-century pop culture. Now, ever since I was a kid, I've had a soft spot for the 1955 Bowman baseball set. In fact, I still have these 4 cards from when I was about 10 years old. I bought them at a comic book store that would have a box of old baseball cards in the corner. I would sift through them. I'd find some cards from the mid to late 50s occasionally, but mostly it had 80s and late 70s cards in it. But whenever I found one of those old Bowman cards with a TV set image, I would quickly grab them. And that's how I got these 4. Now today, these cards, when I look at them, they have an antique charm to them with their faux wood borders and the retro TV console design. But here's the twist. What looks vintage to us now was cutting edge back then. When these cards were released, color TVs were just entering American homes. The RCA CT100 and the Westinghouse H840CK15 were the first widely available color sets. Both were debuted in early 1954. The RCA, for example, cost a whopping $1,000. That's over $12,000 in today's money. It had a 15-inch screen and was mostly seen in showrooms rather than living rooms. And when you look at its dark wood finish, it's easy to see how it may have inspired the dark borders of the 1955 Bowman cards. Interestingly, the lighter wood border seen on the first 64 cards in this set might have been influenced by another TV of the era, the Admiral C1617A, which was also released in 1954. When Bowman launched this set in 1955, fewer than 1% of US households even owned a color TV. And even if you had one, there wasn't much color programming to watch. So imagine being a kid in 1955, holding a Bowman card designed to mimic the hottest new technology you'd probably never seen in real life. Topps also had a 1955 release, and if you compare Eddie Matthews' card to Bowman's, you'll notice something right away. The Topps card pops. It's full of vibrant colors, dual images, team logos. There was something eye-catching when that card was put in front of you. Bowman, in contrast, it leaned on its TV theme, which ironically gave it more muted colors and a smaller image, very much like the actual color TVs of that era. Now the back of the Bowman cards added a unique touch. Along with the player stats, you'd find many essays supposedly written by the players themselves. There would be titles like My Childhood Hero, My Biggest Thrill in Baseball, or My Advice to Youngsters. While there's a charm to that, it probably didn't connect with kids the same way the Topps cards did. Topps backs were colorful, filled with fun cartoons and interesting player bios, and they were definitely more engaging for a young collector. Now, despite all that, I prefer the 55 Bowman set. The design just stands out to me, and the player selection is excellent, which is very important to me. I'm not a big rookie card chaser. I'm more in tune with being a collector of the stars of that era, as if I was a kid opening the packs back then. So I appreciate that Bowman focused more on the established stars and important players of the day. Now here is where it gets more interesting. The next time we see a color TV style design on a mainstream card set is in 1966, with both the Topps hockey and football using the same layout. That was rare. Topps didn't usually share designs across sports in the same year especially. On the front, both sets looked identical, but the backs were very different. Now here you have the 1966 George Blanda and my latest pickup, the 1966 Phil Esposito second year card. So why bring back a design from 11 years earlier, and why use it for both sports? Well, in 1964, only 3.1% of US homes had a color TV. But by 1966, that number jumped to nearly 10%. That was still low, but it was growing fast. Prices were dropping, and the FCC had mandated that larger TVs include built-in color decoders. Networks were increasing their color programming also, as it was becoming very competitive. The colorful network intros I showed at the beginning of the video were regularly used as part of that shift. Now in hockey, NBC broadcast the 1966 Stanley Cup Finals in color, which was a huge moment. But even earlier, on March 24, 1965, Hockey Night in Canada, which was the most popular show in the country at the time, aired a color test broadcast of the Canadiens versus the Maple Leafs, which was a big step forward in the adoption of color by 1967. Now that timeline lines up nicely with Topps releasing their first US test issue of hockey cards in 1966. And I think it was inspired by the NBC broadcast of the 1966 Stanley Cup Finals. Because you got to remember, the season started in 65 and the Stanley Cup Finals were completed in 66. The hockey set wouldn't have come out to the fall of that year. Now as for Topps football, the 1966 set focused solely on the AFL. That year, NBC aired roughly 40 AFL games in color, including 3 postseason matchups. Now this was a major jump in coverage. So again, the TV design seems more like a nod to the growing visibility of sports on color television. I know that not everyone is a fan of these designs. Some collectors find them a little dull, but to me, they're fascinating, representing not just legendary players, but a turning point in American pop culture and television history. After 1966, color TV adoption took off. 33% of households by 1969 had one, and nearly 50% by 1971. And those milestones, they're all wrapped up into these cards, and I think about that when I see them. I love having them in my collection, not just for the players, but for the stories they tell. I'll be traveling next week, so there won't be a new video, but until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.